Welcome everybody into the Dynasty Football Diner. I am your host, Dan, joined as always by Mr. Carey. We'll just get business out of the way now. Last week we had some unforeseen difficulties, but you know what? Sometimes it works out. We took some time to look at the podcast and what we're doing for you diners, and what we realized and what we're going to do is we have some new segments for you. We're trying to work on our audio. We just want to be better for the diners, for all of you. And we appreciate you guys so much for supporting us. Follow us at Instagram at DFD_podcast. Check us out on Spotify and YouTube at DFD Podcast. Please subscribe, tell a friend, and turn those notifications on so you can, get updates as to when the latest info is out. Carey, how you doing this weekend?
I'm doing good, man. I had a long couple of weeks here, and I'm excited to get back in the studio. I had a good weekend. I got to play some golf. First time in a few months, and it was pretty nice. Other than that, I got to hang out with my family, had a good time. And I just want to touch on real quick. It's like, keep an eye out on the Instagram and stuff like that. We're going to start updating things that we can when we can. For those who don't know, we do work full-time jobs. This is just a fun hobby we're having fun with right now. We'd like to take more seriously, but we're also family men and stuff like that. So sometimes things come up and podcasts can't happen, but from here on out, when things like that do happen, we're going to try to update you through our social media, our Instagrams, and other things like that to keep y'all updated on things like that. We appreciate you guys bearing with us. But other than that, it was a good weekend. Football. How about you?
Man, what a wild week in the NFL, right?
3 weeks of craziness.
It was crazy this weekend. All right, so let's get into it. This is a Dynasty Football podcast. So, okay. This weekend, I went 3-3 over all the leagues. And I had a extremely bad tilt. I lost one in the family league by 0.6.
Yeah, you did.
And that was pretty brutal. And I got to tell you guys, I benched Malik Neighbors because he was playing Cleveland. PSA, Malik Neighbors is an auto start. There is no benching Malik Neighbors.
No, full tilt.
Full tilt. I was livid. But when you're in many leagues, I might have squeaked that one out, but Joe Burrow did good. And so
nice to see him
tilted. Back. But, at the same time, Joe Burrow helped me win another league. So when you're in this many leagues, that's what happens, right? It's like, one player's going to hurt you, one player's going to help you. And that's just part of the game that we play. But guess what? I'm addicted. I'm not going to stop. So it just is what it is. So getting into it. Well, okay. First of all, since we're getting into the weekend recap, Carey, I noticed your leagues you went 4-3. And the Dynasty Diner, though, we took a brutal L. Again, one of these Monday night hammers that was either going to make us or break us. What did you think going into it?
So, we had a chance. We did have a chance, but the only downfall to it, I believe, was actually, it
was Josh Allen versus Jaden Daniels.
I did not expect Jaden Daniels to do Jaden Daniels.
My God. Like and then also
Cincinnati.
So the player we were playing against was Jaden Daniels and T. Higgins, and we had Brian Thomas and Josh Allen. Just for a true slobber knocker. Like that thing was going back and forth. And I'm going to tell you, Josh Allen, the way he started, I'm like, oh, dude, we got this. And Jaden Daniels had a slow start too. So I'm thinking, okay, we got this. And then all of a sudden, Jaden Daniels turned it on. T. Higgins was a full tilt. And Brian Thomas, man, finished with a 9.8, but like Jacksonville is in trouble, dude.
Struggle bus, dude. It is not pretty in Jacksonville right now. Their offense can't get it going. Their defense can't stop anything. It is just, I don't know. Christian Kirk seems like he's just out of the entire equation here. I don't get it. Without Evan Ingram, they have been struggling bad. And for those who don't know, Evan Ingram was Trevor Lawrence's one of his favorite targets, his safety net. And he is out, and it is showing how bad this team misses him.
Well, I think it's way beyond that. Brenton Strange, the backup tight end, he did catch a touchdown off of like 2 passes. I think he finished something like 2 receptions, 12 yards, and a tutty. Yeah. Which kind of killed me in a different league. But
yeah, I honestly thought if the Bills kept playing the way they were playing, Josh Allen would have had 9 touchdowns that game.
Well, and that's another thing I have in my notes here is that Josh Allen, he got benched because they were up so bad. Yeah. So like
smart move.
We really had, it is smart. It's a business decision, but I'm just saying like he didn't help our fantasy team. No. So damn them for benching him.
Well, I mean, he went 23 for 32, 63 yards, 4 touchdowns, 6 carries for 44 yards. You cannot say he did not help us out on our fantasy team. Would it have been nice to see him play out the whole game? Yeah, I wouldn't have minded a 40-point game from him this week.
Well, yeah, clearly it's solely like you need to help us out.
Yeah, but I think really what let us down was Demarcus Robinson.
Bust.
Yeah, he 4.2 points in this league. What did he do? Here he is. He went 1 for 4 for 32 yards. Not good. But you know what else wasn't good? Rashid Shaheed. He was the sole reason I lost one of my leagues. I lost by like less than 2 points. He went 0 for 5. He got a flat snowman across the board. 0-0-0.
Yeah. At the same time, I was happy to see Chris Olave finally wake up.
It was nice.
We've been waiting on him. He finally came through in the clutch. We'll get into some daily fantasy sports later, but the big thing this week was Kamara versus Barkley. And it wasn't even freaking close. So we'll get into that later. Also, before we move into the next segment, shout out in one of our leagues. It's a standard scoring league now, people. I want you to realize that. Standard scoring league. My homeboy Wes hung. He hung 180 something points, dude. I just want to go through his lineup. In a standard scoring league, Jaden Daniels, Devin Singletary, Saquon Barkley, Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, Jawan Jennings, Dallas Goedert, Ezekiel Elliott. Bruh, what is happening here? In a standard scoring league to hang 180 something, dude, I was impressed.
Yeah.
I was really happy for him. He had a rough week the week before because he's also got CMC on his bench. But like, dude, to hang 180 something in a standard scoring league, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I was super impressed.
Yeah, that was a monster lineup. That was a week 3 monster lineup, dude. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Jahan Jennings, if he is on your waivers, you need to bid for this man. Because as it sits right now, Brandon Ayuk is having a terrible time.
He looks like doo-doo butter.
Yeah, he's not looking good. But this is what happens, man. Some players, they get in a funk. They don't ever – players don't ever get in a funk. Or they get in a funk sometimes and stuff like that, and money goes to their heads and things like that. And it's like Brandon Ayuk is a good player, but maybe he comes out of it, maybe doesn't. But definitely pick up Jennings.
For sure. The last thing I want to touch on, so I was offered a trade in Superflex, right? And before we get into this, I want to say this was before week 3 in a Superflex league we're in. I was offered Danny Dimes and a second or a fourth. Can't remember which one. But it was a second or a fourth, and Danny Dimes for Caleb Williams. Now, going into this week, it's dicey after week 4 because we can see how everything played out. But at the time, I'm thinking like, okay, well, Danny Dimes, I don't know if he's going to even be playing in the NFL after this year. And Caleb Williams has been cheeks, straight ass cheeks for every week so far this season. And Chicago, other than the defense, they do not look good. So, I turned it down. And then after week 3 played out, Danny Dimes and Caleb Williams both kind of showed out. So what do you think about the trade? What would you have done if you were offered that trade?
Honestly, Daniel Jones has a 4-year deal, and he's still got 3 years, including this one. After this season, 2 more years on it. So I don't know. You know how I feel about Caleb Williams. He went out there and played. He went out there and balled out. I'll give him that this year, but it wasn't enough to win. So it wasn't enough to win. So I don't know what really to tell you. I like Daniel Jones. Well, as far as fantasy goes, if Caleb Williams plays like that every week, then that would be great. But I don't see it happening. I really don't. He played against the Colts.
That offensive line has big problems.
It is bad.
It
is so bad.
It looked like Swiss cheese out there.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I like the Daniel Jones, Malik Neighbors hookup more than I like Caleb Williams at all. Period. But if you got him, best of luck to you. I mean, he was good against a really bad defense. That's all I got. The Bears defense is good, but they were getting diced up by Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. So they're not,
Oh man! Speaking of just a whole collection of cheeks, dude. A whole collection of cheeks.
Terrible quarterback versus terrible quarterback. And it was a really fun game to watch. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love it when you get really terrible players that play against each other and they just do good, and you're just like, well, there it is.
It was like Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo in a Rock'em Sock'em boxing match against another Mr. Hanky the New Year's Eve Poo. It was just a couple of poos cutting it up, and it was something else, dude.
It was insane.
All right, so
it was something.
It got me thinking, right? Because I had a decent week overall, and I just want to share with everybody. I have this 4-week rule, which kind of like it's kind of like a whole season map out strategy in Dynasty, and I want to get your opinion on it. So check me out. The first 4 weeks, I have a rule where I don't do anything other than minor waiver pickups, right? I'm not making, even if you go 0-2, like a lot of, well, not a lot, but some of my teams, I went 0-2. Some of them I was 1-1. I don't think I have any 0-3s right now, but I would still do the same things, right? So I feel like the first 4 weeks is a hold. If there's waiver wires to pick up, of course you do that. And then weeks 5 through 8, the next 4 weeks, that's when you really got to figure out, what do you think your team is going to be, right? You got to make your adjustments off of your trajectory. If you think, okay, a slow start, for example, the Bengals start 0-2 every year since Joe Burrow, right? Now, they started 0-3, but they look pretty good on Monday.
I discount the first month for the Bengals.
Yes. Okay, fair enough. But like Marvin Harrison, the first week, his stat line was embarrassing. Next week comes out in the whole, just one quarter, 140 yards, 2 tutties, looked electric. Okay. So based off of that, the next 4 weeks after week 4 that's when you make adjustments off what you think your team's going to be, right? And this is when you really got to figure out, like, what is my game plan, right? Am I trying to go for the chip? Am I trying to build a dynasty? Because remember, in our leagues, all but one, this was the first draft, right? So everybody's in their first year in this league. So you got to kind of figure it out. Most everybody wants to go for a chip, but I hate to break it to you guys. This might be a secret. It might not. Not everybody's going to win the chip. All right. These are 10 leagues or 10 teams, 12 teams. Like only one person wins. And so you really got to be honest with yourself. And that's what I feel like dynasty players have the hardest time doing is being honest with themselves. You know, you got to be able to look at your team, see where it's going, and realize, like, do I even have a shot? Because that's the hardest part to stomach. You go all off season just wanting to get to the chip, and really, in reality, it's not happening.
I think the hardest part of this, especially dynasty, is putting your heart to the side, your feelings toward your players. Okay, you could be a huge diehard fan of somebody and they just not pan out, but you hold on to them. I have a prime example, Miles Sanders. I have Miles Sanders. I had him when he was on the Eagles. I had him when he got traded to the Panthers. So he showed up a little bit in the last game or week 3 here, and he got about 10 points on my bench, which is a huge spike. It's probably
I thought he was dead.
10 points is probably more points than he had in the entirety of last season. But he was there. He caught his passes and stuff like that, and it's just letting players go is hard, but letting them go for the right cost is not as hard as you would think it is. Like a top tier wide receiver you have, if you're in a down year or a startup and your team's bad, you got a bunch of injuries, a bunch of people on IR, which is happening to a lot of people right now. You don't trade too soon. Okay.
That's a good point.
Top tier players you should hold on to, even if you have no shot, even if your starting lineup is all on IR and you're 4 weeks out from even having a chance to win again. You hold that player until it's time to trade.
Exactly. Very well said. Weeks 9 through 10. This, my friends, fellow diners, listen and listen up good. Weeks 9 through 10, most playoffs start at week 15, for the most leagues. Weeks 9 and 10. This is when you take a good look in the mirror. You go in that diner bathroom, you see that old rusty quarter condom machine on the wall where you can get a cologne wipe or a Trojan. And you're just sitting there looking at the mirror, pondering life's decisions, right? And this is when you need to decide what your team really is and your strategy.
It's where decisions are made.
That's right. That is exactly right. In a diner bathroom, these are when all decisions are truly made, right?
Right.
So there's 3 categories, in my opinion. You're either a rebuild, you're a contender, or you're what I consider, I don't know what the F is happening. Okay. And
a maverick, if you will.
I don't know what the F is happening.
That's fair.
Maverick sounds majestic.
Dangerous. To everybody in himself.
That's right. Weeks 9 and 10, dangerous.
That's right.
So this is when you really got to look in the mirror, okay? And I did this last year, okay? You really got to look in the mirror and you got to be like, yo, whether it's injuries, you might have a badass team, but your people are hurt. You might have a team that was a slow starter, a grower, not a shower, if you may. And you're growing. And you might be like, okay, I'm going to ride this wave. You got good matchups for the rest of the season. You might be all in. I don't know what the F is happening. You're just confused, right? You're like, okay, well, I have good weeks. I have bad weeks. I'm sitting at 500. I really don't know what the hell to do. And that's okay. But it's shit or get off the pot time. Okay. And then 11 through 17 is execution. If you're going for it, that's when you make trades, you build depth. If you're rebuilding, you identify teams to trade based off of your needs, what their needs are. Are you trying to get younger versus picks versus depth? And the I don't know teams, I guess you do nothing and ride it out. But most of the time, that doesn't happen.
Also, keep in mind, most trade deadlines are between weeks 10 and 12. You need to check your league settings on that. Because once that deadline's over, if you're not making a run for the playoffs, your season's virtually over.
Do you
right?
have anything to add to that? That was my little
No,
synopsis
I mean
of the
that's something
season
good,
breakdown.
dude. I understand it's hard to let certain players go. It is,
It's so
but
tough.
it is. But sometimes you can get a good haul for them if you just hold out and wait for these later dates. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's all we're saying. Hold out, wait. When you get to that, make your decision. Do you have a chance for the playoffs? Are you a 50-50 team? Are you more in the positive? Are you in the top 5 or top 6 of your league? That's when you make your choice, and that's when you make your trades. Trades aren't easy. They can be done with the right situation. So I agree 100%. Shit or get off the pot.
That's right.
Wash your hands with that player or wash your hands with your season.
That's right. At least wash your hands either way.
Either way, you're washing hands.
Either way, wash your hands before
All
you get back to the
employees.
diner, okay?
All employees must wash their hands.
That's right. All right, new segment alert. It's called the workers permit. I want to provide you guys, well, we will provide you guys at least one college player to watch each week, right? So this week it was pretty easy for me. Ohio State running back Quinshon Judkins, dude. This animal, aka a can of corn. This guy is crazy. Okay. He's the Ohio State running back. He previously played for Ole Miss. He was offered scholarships by Auburn and Notre Dame, which LOL Notre Dame, bro, y'all are struggling with a K. Struggling. This dude would have helped y'all out so bad, and you passed on him. Anyways, in Ole Miss, his first year, he had 1,567 rushing yards, 16 rush TDs. He was the SEC Freshman of the Year. My God. Okay. Sophomore year, 1158 and 15 tutties. Holy crap. Through 3 weeks at Ohio State, he's got 36 carries, 336 yards, 5 TDs, and that's with another stud, Trayvon Henderson, taking mad carries. I'm
4.3 yards a rush, too. That's pretty good.
Oh, my goodness, dude.
Pretty good.
For dynasty purposes, he's 20 years old. He's 6 feet and 219 pounds. Brother, if I was tanking, or not necessarily tanking, but if I finish at the low, dude, this guy is a beast. He is just beasting out here.
So you like Quinshon more than you like Trayvon? Or Travian?
As of week 3, yes.
Okay, I mean that's fair. I'm just looking at the last year's statistics. That's all. I was just wondering because last year Travion had almost 100 yards more receiving and 10 touchdowns receiving on top of 11 rushing.
I would assume,
but I can understand 3 weeks.
He's going to be receiving a worker's permit very soon. If I were a betting man.
I'm looking the guy I'm looking at right now is Ollie Gordon II from Oklahoma State. This dude, and last year, 1,732 rushing yards at 6.1 yards per rush. 21 rushing touchdowns, 39 receptions for 330 yards and a receiving touchdown. That's juicy.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's pretty juicy. But,
man.
You know, he plays for Oklahoma State. They're, if I remember correctly, their season last year, they didn't play a whole bunch of hard teams, but still, that's pretty nice.
That's super nice. All right. New segment alert. It's called the Toast Report. This is where we're going to give you the injuries and just some news and notes of what you need for the injuries, right?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Carey, why don't you take us away?
Quick. So, the Panthers wide receiver Adam Thielen suffered a hamstring injury during the Panthers win against the Raiders, which was a shock to everybody. Andy Dalton, if he's on your waivers, pick him up. The
Red Rocket.
Yeah, that's right. The team is placing him on injured reserve, so that just goes to show that Bryce Young maybe not a good mix for that.
Dust.
So, moving on, Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin said Tuesday that Najee Harris won't have any limitations in practice this week. Harris's arm was in a sling following their Week 3 win over the Chargers. Justin Fields, 3-0, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Love Justin Fields. But he should be ready to go for Sunday, according to Mike Tomlin. Harris would play a bigger role right now because Jaylen Warren's availability for that one is in question. Warren was scheduled for an MRI on an injured knee, but I haven't heard anything. I haven't had a chance to deep dive into it yet, but still haven't heard anything for that. Pay attention to that. If you have Najee Harris, pay attention to his practices and stuff like that. If you're going to try to place him in his lineup. Moving on, Commanders. This is sad. Running back Austin Eckler, what a legend of fantasy football, sustained a concussion in Monday night's.
He looks so good too, dog. He looks so good.
Everybody thought he was washed. He's doing so good. I love Austin Eckler.
Me too. I'm an Austin Eckler fan.
But the upset Commanders upset the Bengals in this game. He's sustained a concussion. It's his third documented concussion. Eckler has 6 days. I think this is as yesterday, maybe 6 days to get cleared before Week 4's meeting with the Cardinals. I would consider him unlikely to play if you have.
I'm nervous. He didn't fly home with the team from Cincinnati.
I watched so for people out there, I don't get a lot of time to watch games. I watch through stats, and then I go check highlights. I seen this hit. And I seen this concussion. It was not pretty. So.
Well, just if you can't get on the plane to go home with your team and take it easy for a minute, like that kind of makes me nervous.
Yeah, we wish all the best for Austin Eckler. 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan said Monday that he's hoping to get George Kittle's, who's out for the hamstring, back in practice this week. 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey's off to Germany. Shanahan said Monday those treatments likely involve therapies designed to increase blood flow and thus the healing process in his sore Achilles. That's what the Athletics Matt Barrows writes.
Okay, and I did hear one thing, that the reason they go to Germany is because you get more time for the treatment, whereas in the United States, I guess, whatever the hell the rules are, you get less time. So you can go to Germany and get a double treatment.
Yeah, San Francisco, they're pushing for another Super Bowl. Smart move. Rams head coach Sean McVay confirmed on Monday that the wide receiver Cooper Kupp's ankle will not play versus the Bears this weekend. Kupp wasn't placed on the IR, I don't think, or maybe he has since then, but we're unlikely to see him return from their Week 6 bye. So chances are they'll hold him out till their bye week, then come back, just so they don't have to place him on that. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy is day-to-day with back soreness. He did an MRI. He's clean. He's hopeful to come back to practice Wednesday. Something that will impact Purdy's week. Also, last but not least, tight end Trey McBride is in concussion protocol. That was a brutal hit. I didn't get a chance to see the highlight on this, but from my sources and stuff like that, I said that he was the one who kind of caused it. So I'll have to go back and check that. Don't quote me on that. But that's all I got right now as far as injuries go.
Justin Herbert left the game, limped off. My boyfriend,
Justin Scrubbert, 1 good year as a rookie.
Don't do that.
Been injured every year since.
You're just hating. Stop it.
Also, very important, ladies and gentlemen, very, very important. Side note: Week 4, PUP list. Look for players that you were looking for on your PUP list. Okay, they're coming off. So you need to check these guys out, all right? There's people like TJ Hawkinson. There's good players on your PUP list. Scan over them, check and see which one fits your needs for your team. Pick them up on your waivers.
Also, so back before I was rudely interrupted, Justin Herbert hobbled off. Who knows what his status is? And knowing Jim Harbaugh from being at that turd of a school, Michigan, he's probably not going to give us any info. Also, this is crucial. Derwin James, suspended 1 game for continued disregard for NFL playing rules intended to protect player safety. Derwin James out here lighting dudes up.
Yeah, dude.
And they finally said, you got to sit a game because you are too nasty.
And real quick, Sam Laporta, low ankle sprain. Keep an eye on it.
Heard that. All right, so I got a few games over the week I want to go over. The Jets in New England. Man, Aaron Rodgers, he looks back. For taking a year off, and then, like he looked good. Now, he did look rusty, but when I saw the Aaron Rodgers, it's hard to explain. especially over a podcast, but it's this flick. He has this flick of the wrist. He makes it look so freaking easy, dude.
Gross.
And it was like he flicked the ball and it should have been there. And him and Garrett Wilson, they are so close to getting it together. Garrett Wilson, since he's been here, he's had Zach Wilson. He's had a bunch of ass cheek quarterbacks throwing him the ball, dude. I'm telling you, Garrett Wilson is a stud. And he even came out and was talking about how he is going to grow his career based off of working with Aaron Rodgers. He was throwing darts. I mean, it was impressive. It didn't work out like that. They won the game handily, but I was just so impressed with Aaron Rodgers.
Listen, somebody's on the internet said Percocet Rodgers is back because he was looking so bad last couple weeks, but I think he's shaking some rust off, and that flick is dirty. All right, it doesn't look like much, but it's the difference between 10 yards and 40.
Dude, it's like sidearm.
It is ridiculous. It is stupid. So crazy. Now, real quick before we move on, there's a person you need to pick off for your waivers from this game, and that's going to be Braylon Allen. All right, you need to pick him up, stash him, play him in your flex if you're desperate, because he is getting more and more opportunities. He's not going to overtake Breece Hall, obviously, but he is getting more opportunities, and what he's doing is he's relieving Breece Hall. Lord forbid if there's an injury, the dude's going to skyrocket. Grab him now.
Atlanta, Kansas City, listen. Kirk Cousins, new team, Achilles injury, no preseason. To me, when I watch Atlanta, and I've watched them for 2 weeks in a row now, it just looks like they're in the preseason. They're close. Their defense is stellar. They look close. They just need some time to get their shit together, okay? But I'm telling you, they're so close. And that week 2 primetime Kirk curse, it died. Yeah. That dude went out there and lit it up. Enough with the primetime Kirk. He's got a beard now, a full bearded Baron. Shout out to Eric. A full bearded Baron beard going on, dude. Enough with the primetime Kirk stimulations, okay? Or stipulations. It's over with.
That's right. It also just a reminder, Falcons players, if you have them, hold on to them right now because they did not start their starters very much in the preseason. I think good things are going to come. There was a bad call in this game. There was a huge pass interference that wasn't called. Could have changed the way the game went, but that's, Chiefs for you. Take it as you can. But
the other little ball kicker is that there was 6 minutes and 32 seconds left in the game at the 20, and I'm thinking in my head, this is too much time for Mahomes. This is too much time for Mahomes. And Atlanta decided to go for it. They threw it to Pitts. Everybody's seen it by now. The pass interference call.
So bad.
And then later they went on 4th down. They could have kicked a field goal. All right, they were down 5 points in a 2-point game. A field goal would have won with less than a minute left. And instead, we saw what happened. It was just so disappointing.
Look, dude, my take on Patrick Mahomes, he's a great NFL quarterback. But if you go back and look at his scoring as far as fantasy football goes, ever since Tyreek Hill left, his fantasy football scoring has gone down. So just keep that in mind. He's good. He's good. He's going to be a GOAT in NFL. But as far as fantasy football goes right now, he's just a mediocre scoring.
Yep.
It's just mediocre scoring quarterback. So,
with Buffalo, but the Buffalo-Jacksonville game, we already talked about it. Jacksonville is cheeks.
Ass.
They are going to. They need a overhaul. I don't know if Urban Meyer screwed up Trevor Lawrence or if Trevor Lawrence screwed up Urban Meyer. At this point, it's over with. So I don't even think we need to talk about it.
No, skip through that one.
Cincinnati, Washington. I got some fun facts for you, Carey. Okay. First of all, this was the second time ever that 2 Heisman winners for the same team played against each other.
What a great game, too.
It was. It really was. Washington, for the first time ever for any team, no turnovers and no punts. Imagine that. No turnovers, no punts. And I got to tell you, dude, I was watching this game and every time Cincinnati needed one, They just got denied by Cliff Kingsbury and his slick back hair and his muscles and just he's so dangerous, man. He is really good. Okay. They had no fourth downs into the fourth quarter. Not one fourth down.
That's pretty good, dude.
Dude.
That's
killing
balling.
it.
That's balling.
Jaden Daniels, the highest completion percentage by a rookie ever with minimum 20 attempts.
21 for 23. Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh,
that was great.
It's unreal,
now,
dude.
Just so you guys know at home, Jaden Daniels is a great pick. If he's on your waivers, grab him. But keep in mind, this was against a Cincinnati defense. Okay?
Trouble.
Yeah, it was against a Cincinnati defense. It was a soft defense. So if you have him, stream him on the weeks he plays bad defenses. Okay? For sure, do that. But from here out, keep a good eye on him because I love Jaden Daniels. I thought he was the best quarterback out of the draft, personally.
Also, well, Diana Rossini said today that according to some NFL head coaches, they thought Jaden Daniels was better than Caleb Williams. They just
100%.
didn't have the draft capital high enough to go get him.
You see how calm he was? Like, he was calm. He was cool. He was collective. He didn't panic. He made plays.
Carey.
Yeah, dude, he was on it. But again, Bengals defense. So, but all 3 weeks so far, he's been good. I mean, he's been producing, and he looks good. If you can acquire him off waivers, get him.
Last thing, Yoshevich, my guy. I picked him up at the end of the year last year. I've always liked this guy. He's the real deal. He looks electric. And this year, T is in a contract, T. Higgins. When he's gone, man, over the middle of the field, Yoshevich is just eating these dudes up. I got to tell you. I'm really impressed with Yoshi.
Yeah, T. Higgins is a curse man. He's a cursed player, dude. He's just not getting – he can't perform. He's injured all the time. I don't know. I love T. Higgins, though.
And it just goes to – just for you dynasty players, look, I took a shot on Yoshi at the end of the year last year. I picked him up when I was I was out. I was out.
Yep, we battled for last place.
And you know what? I was still making moves all the way to the bitter end. You got to look ahead to the next year, right? There were little rumblings of Yoshi. Excuse me. And I picked him up, and I'm really benefiting from him this year.
Look, real quick, we battled for last place, and he and Dan had my first round draft pick, so it didn't even matter. He was going to get first and second regardless. But I wanted that 2.1. So I mean, at that point, like in our leagues, tanking is against rules up to a certain week, right? Once it gets to the point where you're not in the playoffs, it's acceptable to tank, but you have to tank like
respectfully.
Yeah, respectfully. You can't just be throwing nobody players that get zero. You got to start your best possible players in each position. So if you have
by the way,
and then a nobody running back.
Which by the way, in another league we're in, they did something cool that I really like. I was thinking about bringing it to a vote in our other leagues where the losers bracket, the winner of the losers bracket gets the first pick in the draft, right? So it kind of prevents people from tanking, like to just be the worst. And it kind of like makes everybody engaged till the end of the year. I really, really like that rule. I think I'm going to introduce it in all my leagues because I think it's cool. Leave us a message in the comments section, Spotify or YouTube. Let us know what you think. Like, how do you feel about tanking? Let us know.
Yeah, I do like that rule. It does keep everybody engaged.
Yeah, I was going to put it up for league vote.
Moving on.
Cleveland and the Giants. Oof. Listen, Deshaun was sacked 8 times.
Let go of the ball, bro.
He should have been dead. Like, no kidding. Like, he should have been dead, right?
Between him and Caleb Williams, I don't know who holds the ball the longest.
Well, it doesn't matter. If the offensive line is a sieve looking like Swiss cheese, dude, I mean, like, I felt bad for the dude, right? Everybody's ragging on Deshaun, but, like, through these 3 games, I don't even know if there's been a true benchmark we can grade him on.
Listen, ever since he caught that next allegation, he's started playing a lot better.
Yeah, he probably followed it up with a massage.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Malik Neighbors, listen.
Must start every week.
OMG.
Told you.
He is a must start, do not bench Do not bench. He is the real deal. The Giants go where he goes. Fun fact, he is the first person in NFL history with 20 receptions and 3 TDs in the first 3 games, and he's the youngest wide receiver with 2 TDs in a game, passing Mike Evans.
I told you.
Dude is electric.
I told you, Mike. I told you he was going to be amazing.
How about the Red Rocket?
Listen, Andy Dalton, dog.
The Red Rizzle.
I picked him up in one of my leagues because I'm hurting heavy, and after Tua went down, I'm hurting heavy with quarterbacks right now. So all I have is Joe Burrow and Spatler, but I picked him up. He crushed it. He absolutely dominated. It was ridiculous.
Chuba for the win.
Yeah,
My God, Chuba Hubbard.
26 for 37, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. Okay, no interceptions, y'all. You hear that? No interceptions. Andy Dalton, 37 years old, been in the league, I think, 13 years. If he's on your waivers, please pick him up because he's just showed the world that the Carolina Panthers team
He's a streamer.
Is not bad. I'd pick him up. I'd hold him. Vegas has a good defense. Now, saying that, if you've watched the game, there were some, this is what they're saying, business decisions made on the field. A defensive back decided
that was from Vegas.
Yeah, before Vegas defense. A Vegas defensive back decided he wasn't tackling anybody. He was letting them run by him. He wasn't doing anything. That is not a good look, ladies and gentlemen, because the Vegas, I mean, they have a legitimate
Some people say he was talking about Devontae Adams.
Some people say that. Some people do. But if you go back and watch some highlights, this dude is clearly standing there watching this dude run by him, puts his arms up to let him get by, let somebody else tackle him, and he goes in and gets half a tackle.
My thing for me is that at week 4, when you already got coaches making slick comments, nobody knows if it's Devontae. They might say it's the defense. To me, that's trouble. I'm selling all Raiders except for Brock Bowers. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't want Brock Bowers.
This team is about to implode. I can feel it. I feel like next year the Raiders are going to look so different than what they do right now.
The offense might be terrible.
To put a bow on it, Deontay Johnson. Thank God he's alive. Thank you, Red Rocket. I owe you a free scrambled egg and biscuit meal.
Yep,
in the diner. Deontay is alive.
Yep.
And again, Chuba for the win. You know that.
Listen, we both immediately said on the same round when we drafted Deontay Johnson, we said, we looked at each other, we said, yeah, Deontay Johnson's it, dude. We got a good feeling about this man.
He was legit. Miami, Seattle, listen, I just want to drop 2 stats, right? Seattle going into week 3, they had the highest pressure rate in the NFL. And then they followed that up in week 3 with 6 sacks. Oh my God. Like, I'm telling you, give them the ham and eggs award of the week, dude. I mean, green eggs and ham. They were relentless. And so following up, if you have players on your fantasy team going against Seattle, I would really be worried unless you got a mobile quarterback. It's trouble.
Or a really mean offensive line because they were there. And it was fun I watched highlights of this. It was a lot of fun. It reminds me of back when they made the Super Bowl run with the what did they call them? The Legion of Boom.
The Legion of Boom.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved every second of it. Also, if JSN is for whatever reason on your waivers, grab him. He
shouldn't be, but
he should not be. But if he is
100 fab,
yeah, grab him. Dynasty rules say
fab dump alert.
This dude has been he's just been biding his time behind Tyler Lockett, and he's proven it. He didn't have such a great game this week, but week 2 he had a bomb, super good game, and his time's coming. Get him.
You better throw an elbow for that last piece of bacon. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. It's always the best.
And Geno was on fire. He was spreading it around. It was kind of like a Josh Allen game. Kind of reminded me of his targets. Listen to Geno's targets. 8, 6, 6, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. This dude was just spreading it around. Yeah.
They were playing their game script, man, and that's how they win games. They don't pick it. You know, there's certain DK obviously going to be a number 1 target, but when he's not there, you got JSN. It was a great game.
It was. Minnesota, Houston.
Oh,
listen, who the hell is Sam Darnold and where did he come from? Did San Francisco fix this guy?
It's a Carolina curse, man.
No, dude. No,
dude, look at it.
He was drafted by the Jets. He was in Carolina. But then he spent 1 year in San Francisco. He went to Minnesota and now looks like a world beater. Look, there's a reason Sam Darnold still has a job in this league because, all these teams still know he could do it. He just didn't get his chance to start.
Carolina
But now
Panthers.
that he's got this chance, and listen, I talked about this in the last podcast. The coach from Minnesota, I love this guy. I am falling in love with this guy.
He's really good.
Like, more and more I watch them.
Justin
He
Jefferson
is
helps.
so with it. Justin Jefferson helps, right? But I'm talking, they beat San Francisco. They beat Houston. Their first week, didn't they play somebody good?
Ooh.
I mean, it was like it. I mean, these guys have not played a cupcake, okay? And this guy he's like the best quarterback in the league through all these weeks. It is unreal.
Their defense is good. Carolina curse is a real thing. I believe in it because you got Sam Darnold leaves Carolina, doesn't start in San Francisco very much, goes and starts, does great. CMC did great in Carolina, went to San Francisco, offensive player of the year. DJ Moore left Carolina, went and played over there in the Bears. Or
You're making this a Carolina thing. Listen,
these are three players from Carolina. They all left within the last 3 years, and they're all doing 1,000 times better.
Do shit with the Jets.
No, I'm saying after they left in the last 2 years, they've all left Carolina, and they're all top-tier players right now.
This will also help. Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator from Minnesota, he shows 6 blitzers, the most in the NFL, but also pulls 6 blitzers back into coverage, the most in the NFL. This dude has people with their heads spinning. They cannot figure him out. I love it.
It's like watching a Madden game out there. You don't know what they're doing out there, dude.
The Denver defense is legit. I don't know if anybody's sleeping on Denver. I mean, on the offense, you should totally go to sleep. Eat your all-star breakfast at the diner and go to sleep if you want the Denver offense. The defense, though, they're legit.
Listen, I don't mean to cut you off right here during this one, but I'm going to scoot back to Houston. CJ Stroud is known for not doing well against top-tier defenses. Minnesota this year has a top-tier defense. Keep that in mind. If he's your starter quarterback and he's playing one of these top-tier defense, you might want to stream one.
The Bears, too.
Yeah.
He struggled against the Bears.
Yeah, so any top-tier defense, back it off a little bit, stream another person. But you're right. Denver's defense looks good. You know who else looked good? McLaughlin. This is a guy you need to pick up.
He stole that touchdown from damn Javonte.
It is what it is, dude. But listen, he was the guy who was drafted with this new coaching system. He's somebody, if he's on your streamers, if he's on your waivers, pick him up. He's a good hold and watch.
All right, 2 more things. Just 2 more quick points. Listen, for all you Kyler Murray managers out there, I just want you to know, which I'm included.
Me too.
Call of Duty Black Ops 6 releases on October 25th. If his production drops off after October 25th, then the Call of Duty narrative is true. I mean, straight up.
God, I hope not.
Me too.
God, I need him to not do that. Because I played him this week over Dak Prescott, and Dak went crazy. He sucked.
Well, and speaking of Dak, right? Baltimore, Dallas. I just want to let you guys know for Dallas, they have the worst rushing defense in a decade. They've given up the most rushing touchdowns, and I want to say it's like the 3rd most rushing yards in a decade. Not this week or this season, in a decade. So let that sink in. Okay. But like Dallas, if you guys are streaming your weekly lineups, listen, if anybody's playing Dallas and you got a running back, play them.
Yeah, play them. For sure, play them.
I mean,
yeah. Also,
they are toast.
If Donald's out there, pick him up because he's starting to take he's the lead running back right now over Ezekiel Elliott. So pick him up.
Dallas, man.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. They gave their 2 best people money and they started just not playing, which is if you go back and look statistically, people who get paid big money, they don't do well the next year, that season.
I honestly think Dallas has a Jerry Jones curse.
Yeah.
It just seems like he screws everything up. I mean, it's just
Definitely does.
all right, guys. So I'm going to ask you guys for the next 5 minutes of your time. I'm going to nerd out. I got a lot of stats here. There's a lot of information I'm about to go over. This is a 3-week sample. It's my nugget of the week. Really kind of focusing on dynasty roster construction, right? So week 1, I noticed a lot of injuries, way more than usual. Everybody's been talking about scoring down. So I literally hand counted injuries for offense versus defense. What I came up with after week 1 was that offense had 106 injuries and defense had 128, which is a 22 differential. I think that teams spent a decade catching up with the Patriots in offense, right? Because this is all a pendulum. The pendulum swings, defense catches up, offense catches up to the defense. This is how this league works, right? But with the Patriots and Tom Brady and all these, like, you know, the motion thing that everybody's doing now, before there were only a couple teams doing it. And so those were the elite teams that people couldn't catch up with. But that's not the case anymore. The other big thing is that there's no preseason play, man.
There really is.
Like, there really isn't. So in preseason, like these first 3 or 4 weeks, I swear to God, it's preseason because nobody's playing with each other. People are holding out. You got people on new teams. You got injuries. Like, I feel like the first 4 weeks is the preseason. But with offense down and injuries up, especially more to the defense in week 1, I want to take a look at it, okay? Going into week 2, pass rate over expectation was down. Pace was down, which means there's fewer plays, which also means that if they're running more, teams are playing faster. But scores per drive were at a 27-year high. Scoring frequency was up, and turnover rate is at a 27-year low. A lot of that comes from running more, okay? So stay with me. The data suggested that in week 2, there should have been more passing. The rushing TDs from week 1 was 36. Passing TDs from week 1 was 35. So with all this data, in week 2, passing TDs should have been up. Guess what they were, Carey?
13?
33. So they were even down from week 1, okay? So pass rate over expectation, which means the game context, down in distance, it was down almost 4%, which is the lowest since 2006 by almost 1.5%, which means teams are committing to the run. These teams are under 32 pass attempts per game, according to Pro Football Reference. And the average depth of target, which to me is an important stat that I look at, okay? 7.4%, which is the lowest since 06, right? 7.4 is so low. That means that these guys are dinking and dunking. Now, I wanted to look at that. Why does that happen? Okay. Now, this goes in to the defense, which is nickel and the 2 high safety, which some people are talking about, but I want to get really just, I was going to say balls deep, but I was trying to think of a food reference. You got a food reference for balls deep?
No.
Get back to me.
Yeah, we'll circle around.
So nickel means that there's 5 DBs, which is an extra cornerback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
still got nothing. I was trying to think.
So nickel is up 65.5% over the last 2 years. From 2018 to 2022, it was at 58%. So that means it is up almost 8%.
That's zone coverage, right?
Well, that's adding an extra DB. That's 5 DBs for nickel.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So on too high safety, the last 2 years, it's been 42.1%. From 2018 to 2022, it was 37%, which means it's up 5%. Okay. So what that means is that these defenses are just putting defensive backs, these guys like Sauce Gardner and what's the guy from Denver?
Oh,
Lockdown. Come on. Come on.
Jesus,
He shut down Mike Williams this week.
Yeah, you put me on lock.
Yeah,
Circle
you'll
back to
get
that
back to
guy,
it.
yeah.
Surtan. It's the Surtan Curtan. You like
Yeah,
that?
that's right. Yeah.
All right, so that's what's happening, okay? So these defenses are putting more dudes back in zone, too high safety, nickel, and so they're forcing quarterbacks to take shorter throws, okay?
That's
Completion percentage, 67.5% versus 62.7% without, okay? This is 5%, which means, it doesn't sound like a lot, and I know these are a lot of numbers, but this is so significant. This stuff blew my mind. This is like food cost, right? For example, at my job, I sell so much rice. I might sell imagine selling 1,000 pounds of rice a year, right? And you find it for 5% cheaper over the year. Dude, you are saving thousands and thousands of dollars. This is what these defenses are doing. The average depth of target, right, is 7.6 yards these last 2 years versus 8.3. That's almost that. Well, that's 0.6 yard or 0.7 yards more per reception. That's almost a full yard. Think about over a season. CeeDee Lamb might have 1,500 yards, but if he has an extra, say like a bonus, like in Madden, if you just get some bonus stat and you get, 0.7 yards for every yard you get, dude, this is huge numbers. So pass efficiency's down.
That's what, 4 for every 20 passes.
That's right. So pass efficiency's down. The throws are shorter. Completion percentage is up. But the big plays are down. And in fantasy, the big plays are
Money
what we
makers.
strive for.
That's money.
That's what we strive for, dude, is the big plays. That's why you want Justin Jizzle. That's why you want CeeDee Lamb. That's why you're looking at Devon Achane.
Those field stretchers, man.
Yeah, dude. These are the big plays that we live for.
A.J. Browns.
And that's why when you're watching football, like the 1 o'clock games this week, excuse me, the 1 o'clock games this week, dude, they were cheeks. It looked like a defensive clinic. The defenses were just pounded down. And this is why. It's the Mahomes effect. See, 3 years ago, they tried this too high safety, but only on Mahomes. Everybody else was running zone.
Couldn't stop Tyreek.
And now everybody's catching up, right? Because everybody's catching up. It was just Mahomes, but now these are what all these teams are doing.
It's because all the teams were putting speedsters on the outside. So they were putting speedsters on the outside, so they started doing that. Now, my take on it is there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks coming in straight into starting positions, and it's the way college and stuff is going right now is these systems aren't building these guys up. They're letting them play their own games. They're not actual programs to help them. They're programs to win. And then they're putting these guys out in the NFL who are not ready to start. But things like Caleb Williams, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, these are players who were not ready to start in the NFL, but here they are.
Well, see, and those are very good points, dude. And that's to put a bow on this. Like, that's why rushing is up, because 5 defensive backs, like in nickel coverage, running is easier because the defensive backs are not stacking the box.
Yeah, you can only have 12
remember,
people.
They used to put 8 in the box, and it would be so impossible to rush the ball that, like, it would be the passes that were going on. But now rushing is up this year because 5 defensive backs is easier.
That's
so that
right.
gets me to think, Carey. Let's have a little quick discussion.
Okay.
When you're drafting, is slot receiver on the rise?
In my opinion, it is. I love a
So
good slot receiver. Look at the
exactly.
good slot receiver. CeeDee Lamb was a slot receiver last year. Great, right? Then you have other people who could run slot better. Devonta Smith this year with his new head coach, slot receiver, did great. Hope
Tank
for a
Dell
speedy recovery. Tank Dell, awesome.
killed it.
He's an awesome player. Slot receivers are up because if you don't know what a slot receiver is, it's the person who goes up and cuts through the midfield. They're not going deep. They're going like maybe 8 yards and cutting across.
So to me, what this tells me, and this is like, I guess, the synopsis of my nugget, which, by the way, any kind of sponsors, if you're related to any kind of nugget, green nuggets, chicken nuggets, any kind of nuggets,
Gold nuggets.
come sponsor this segment. Gold nuggets, we love you. Gold miners, come get some. But to wrap a bow on this nugget, I feel like when you're drafting, the cheaper later running backs are becoming better options because rushing is going to happen. If they're clamping down on the receiving, rushing's going to happen, whether you're McLaughlin, whether you're a Bucky Irving, whether you're Kenneth Gainwhistle. I mean, all these guys can get run because they're putting 5 defensive backs in the box and they're stacking the receiving box. So these runners, these late round running backs look lovely. J.K. Dobbins, which that was kind of injury related, but this dude looks like a steal.
Yep.
You could have got J.K. Dobbins in the 10th round.
But even your really good ones like Achane, Devon Achane, you could slot him as a wide receiver.
Good God.
Yeah.
And now this year Mostert got hurt,
Yeah.
but if he hadn't been hurt, dude, Mostert was going in the 11th round, dude. And if these people are stacking the box, especially against, for example, Miami, where you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who are just dinking and dunking, and they're playing these nickel backs and the defensive backs back, dude, Mostert's gonna eat. Okay, so like that was like, do you stack slot receivers? Like, this is something we need to think about. Also, running backs that catch passes, right? Because if there's 5 defensive backs that are going out with receivers to the defense, these pass catching running backs, which for PPR, everybody's always been on it, right? But I'm talking about
even half point.
I'm talking about even half point. Like, maybe we need to shift our focus from these downhill runners like Derrick Henry, who, you know, again, on this week, every dog has its day. This week was good.
King
but
Henry.
I mean, we're talking season over season, and I will revisit this, okay? Because all my nuggets, we're going to revisit. But, like, maybe we need to, if you have a downhill runner that's so much better, say Pacheco, but you also have a pass catcher that you can get later in the draft, maybe you need to pass Pacheco as much as it hurts, because I love Pacheco. Okay, don't get it twisted. But maybe we need to look at this in our drafting strategy, right? And then also my last thought, and this is the one that's really going to make you go, should we target receivers with volume, not the big play guys?
The guys who get more targets?
I'm talking target monsters, even if they go 8 yards at a time. I think we need to just accumulate receivers that get all the targets, because with 5 DBs, they're going to get these quarterbacks, like I said, are passing for shorter amount of yards. The ADOT is down more than a half a yard per reception.
If you're looking for people to put points on the board consistently, grab the guys who are getting more and more targets. If you go back and look, that's the same thing with Braylon Allen and things like that. They might be backups. They might not be players who get touchdowns, but if they can get you 9 to 12, 13 points a game, 9 to 12, 13 points a game, anything like that, that's a flex-worthy player, if not a starter, depending on your lineup. I always try to find people who get targets, okay? And the more targets you get, the more chances of receptions you get, and the more points you get. Even if these receptions are, 5 yards and he falls over for 7. Okay, that's 7 yards. That's only, that's a point in PPR, half point PPR. That's 1.2 points. You know what I mean? Or 1.2 points. These are points that accumulate over time each game. If you have a guy who gets Jalen Waddle broke into the league, I draft him. Jalen Waddle was getting targeted. He was getting hyper targeted. He was only dinking and dunking. He was getting 6, 7 yards of play, 5 yards of play, this and that. But if he does that 10 times a game,
I still started him this week with Skylar Thompson.
yeah, I don't blame you. I like Waddle over Tyreek Hill while Skylar Thompson's in. I really do.
The footballers said they'd rather have Waddle than Tyreek Hill because at least Waddle you can bench, and Tyreek Hill you can't bench him.
No, you can't. You cannot bench Tyreek Hill.
But Waddle, I'm benching this week.
Yeah.
Unless Tyler Huntley's the quarterback.
Yeah, I like him. But, I mean, these are people you have to pay attention to. There's a person you should pay attention to right now, probably on your waivers, and you didn't even know who he was, and that was Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker for Las Vegas.
Your guy.
Listen, dude. I called this out last year. I said, this dude is fast as hell. If you go back and watch this tape, there's a lot of controversy behind it, right? Trey Tucker last week had he was stat percentage 81%. Okay, this is up a lot since the last couple of weeks. Okay, he averaged week 1 was 3 targets, week 2 was 2 targets, week 3 9 targets, 7 receptions for 96 yards. Okay, so 9 targets. That range, that 9 to 12 target range, is what you are looking for as far as targets go. Okay. So this is a guy, if he's on your waivers, you should pick him up. He was highly talked of during training camp, during the offseason. This is a dude that needs to be on your bench, sit and wait and see how it goes.
He looked electric in that third preseason game.
Fast.
Remember when I told you I was punishing myself and I watched what was it? It was the Raiders, and what was that preseason game that was just complete ass cheeks?
There's a lot of those.
No, but it was like it was Minshew versus Aiden O'Connell, and they were going against somebody. This was like the last one. It was bad.
By the way, I think the Raiders are going with Gardner Minshew as their starter now. But yeah, Trey Tucker.
And Trey Tucker was lighting it up. Like this dude was fast. He looked different on the field.
Yeah. So you get this guy's a speedster, but he's not big. Okay. And this dude was out there and he got that many targets. And then another guy you need to look at, Calvin Austin. So when you're looking at targets, you want to see them rising over the weeks. Calvin Austin had 2 targets through week 1, 2 targets week 2, 5 targets week 3, 4 receptions. This guy had 95 yards. And he's average yards per target was 19 yards. Okay, so Justin Fields was hitting them hard. He had a touchdown this game. These are guys that should be picked up and done. These are guys who should be picked up on your waiver, sat and watched. I would take Trey Tucker first over Calvin Austin because I believe in Trey Tucker more. But these are dudes the targets go up as the weeks go. With these new quarterbacks, they are finding people who they are comfortable throwing the ball to more. It's not always going to be their wide receiver ones. You have players, you also have players who are comfortable throwing to your tight ends, right? Like Dak Prescott, he's always been a tight end guy. It's always been his blanket sheet. That's what made Dalton Schultz so good because he would hit him. Dalton Schultz get an extra 2 or 3 yards.
Ferguson had a good week this week.
Jake Ferguson, great guy. I doubt he's on your waiver. If he is, I'd grab him because he's just coming off an injury. But then you got to look at the big players. You got to look at your big guys like Michael Pittman Jr. He started week 1, 8 targets. Week 2, 7 targets. Week 3, 5 targets. His target share is going down, and so will his points. So these are things you need to look at and really think to yourself. Michael Pittman Jr. hurts me because I love Michael Pittman Jr., but it's only week 3. You need to continually watch these things for dynasty purposes. These players I pointed out to you, Trey Tucker, Calvin Austin, young players. Michael Pittman, 27. So you want to find these young little diamonds in the rough.
I'm scared about Pity City.
Oh, dude, I'm so nervous about him.
He's so good. But with Anthony Richardson, this is not a good situation.
It's really not. I'm hoping Anthony Richardson gets over this terrible accuracy 1 year.
He's going to get the year. I feel like next year is the year for Anthony
Richardson. I feel like next year he'll be better.
Yeah.
I think him missing out last year really hurt him. That this is pretty much his official rookie year. And he's playing
100%,
like a true rookie.
He only played a few college games. Like I have him in a super flex league. I'm looking forward to next year.
Yeah,
I have him and Dak. I don't have very high hopes for my team this year.
He's a week 9, week 10 player.
But next year, Next year, I think we're in it to win it with Dak and Anthony Richardson. But this year, no high hopes. Now, listen, let's get to the point that I didn't want to talk about that you did. Let's talk about our head-to-head on FanDuel.
Yeah.
You absolutely owned my ass.
Challenged, and I accepted, and this is going to be a weekly thing.
Absolutely owned me.
It was so bad, boys.
Like we talked about this, we both played Jordan Mason. You had Saquon, I had Kamara. That obviously didn't work out, right? Saquon scored 20 more points than Kamara. When I opened your lineup, I was totally surprised that you started Justin Fields. Like, talk to me about that. What the hell were you thinking?
I'm a Justin Fields believer, dude. I love Justin Fields.
But he was going the rest of your lineup together and then leave quarterback last?
No, first pick, Justin Fields against the Chargers.
So you put Justin Fields as your first pick?
Yeah, against the Chargers.
Wow.
Absolutely. You know why? Because Justin Fields out to prove something, right? He's out to prove something. Pittsburgh, God, dog. Pittsburgh's defense is just stupid. It is. TJ Watt is a monster. And if it's not TJ Watt, it's Ludwig.
Is good too.
Is it? Because Justin Fields carved him up a little bit, didn't he? 25 for 32, 245 yards. But it is Justin Fields, right? But I loved Justin Fields. He was at a good price. It allowed me to get people like Saquon Barkley, Rashee Rice, Chris Olave, and Chris Godwin.
All right, we'll get there. Hold on. Now, we're not just eating lineups off.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm going position by position. I started Kyler Murray, who laid kind of a big donkey turd.
Dude, I started him in my league.
Right. Yeah.
Over Dak Prescott.
So Justin Fields outscored Kyler Murray on FanDuel by about 4 points. Arizona scoring 13 points. I didn't see that coming.
No.
I didn't at all. We both started Jordan Mason.
Yep.
You had I had Kamara. You had Barkley.
Yep.
Then receiver, right? Here's where it gets interesting, okay? I might as well have just lit my money on fire. I started chalky ass Brandon Ayuk, which I should have knew it was going to be a Jennings game because I've been doing this for too many years to know that when everybody's on Ayuk, you pivot. And especially since he's gotten his contract, he is looking like dog turd.
Contract curse, though.
He looks like the shit that when you empty a fryer and he's just like the stuff in the bottom.
Oh, the end of the week.
Yeah.
Friday night fryer.
After fried chicken night and you drain the fryer, that oil is still good oil, but it's pretty brown. That thing is not golden oil, okay? Mm-hmm. You have fried chicken night. You empty it out. You're going to put that oil back in there. But after you strain it, it's a different color. And I'm just talking about oil. But Ayuk laid a turd, right?
Yep.
Which kind of makes me think bounce back this week. But anyways, you started Rashee Rice. That was a great play. 26 points. He crushed. Chris Olave, we both loved. Matter of fact, I started Chris Olave in every FanDuel lineup I had except our head-to-head. So I just feel like an idiot. And instead, I started Jameson Williams, who had a 0.7. What a dog turd.
Started him in one of my leagues.
For 9 yards, okay? You had Godwin. I started my man, Marvin Harrison. They pretty much had a wash. You had Trey McBride, who had a concussion issue. I started Jake Ferguson. He did pretty good. 12.
Chris Godwin got a touchdown, dude.
Chris Godwin and Marvin Harrison were pretty much a wash. 14.3, 14.9. Trey McBride,
4
concussion
points.
issue.
Yeah, 4
right.
points.
So, and Jake Ferguson, outshined him. And then in our flex, you had Jake Ferguson. I had Tank Dell. So you went 2 tight ends this week, which I'm not going to lie. I had 2 tight ends in my lineup and I changed it. That's what always happens. That's the nature of the beast with daily fantasy sports.
Yep.
Atlanta Falcons, I really like their defense. Their defense looked good. And in a way, they only scored 2 FanDuel points. But I'm going to tell you, Atlanta's defense looked good. I don't care what anybody says. I watched that game. Atlanta defense looked good. And I became a believer the week before when they played Philly.
Golly.
When Atlanta played Philly, I said, you know what? Atlanta's defense is legit. They were the second lowest, or second cheapest defense you could get. So I took a chance. You took the Dolphins.
They got blown out, and I still got 7 points.
Blown out. You shellacked me.
Yeah,
I mean, you totally owned me. You beat me by damn 60 points.
Yeah.
So I guess there's always next week. That's the good thing about daily fantasy
Yeah, I
sport.
love it. It's daily.
Next week, baby.
Yeah.
And you know what? In our head-to-head, I will tell the people, in our head-to-head was my worst loss on FanDuel. I had a decent week in FanDuel. So, but unfortunately for head-to-head, that didn't work out right.
Guess what I just got before we end this out? I just got a trade offer for Jordan Love in a super flex league. I got offered Derek Carr.
This is live?
This is live. This
is
about an hour ago.
Let's get it. All right, so wait.
I have Jordan Love on my super flex league.
Okay, hold on. Let me narrate this. Who did you get offered?
Derek Carr, Juwan Jennings, Chuba Hubbard, and Jordan Mason.
Oh my God, 4 players.
But who do I get?
All right. So now, who did they request?
Jordan Love.
Okay, so let me get this straight.
4 for 1.
Let me get this straight. A 4-1 trade.
Mm-hmm.
You give up Jordan Love, and you receive Derek Carr, Jordan Mason,
Juwan Jennings,
Chuba
Hubbard.
Chuba Hubbard.
You gotta be careful when you talk to Dane about Chuba. He's got a soft spot for him.
Oh man, automatically got excited.
Now, saying that, my 2 starting quarterbacks right now are Patrick Mahomes and Gardner Minshew.
So you would be giving up Jordan Love for a Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, but here's the issue. This is my starting lineup of this entire team. You got Mahomes, Barkley, Henry, Worthy, Collins, Kelsey, Sutton, who by the way did
you
good.
Lost me. Give me the deets, man. Give me the juicy shit. What are they trying to get you? Like what? Give me the positional. Like, all right, I'm gonna lose this, but get this.
I'm gonna lose my my second quarterback pick in the Superflex League. I'm gonna lose Jordan Love.
Okay.
I'll get Derek Carr. That's the replacement for Jordan Love.
Okay.
Additional Juwan Jennings, Chuba Hubbard, and Jordan Mason. So I get 2 running backs and a wide receiver.
How's your running back stable looking like?
That's what I was trying to tell you. My starters are Saquon and Derrick Henry.
But who do you have on your bench?
Let's see. I have, see that part. I have Antonio Gibson, Tajay Spears, and for some reason Isaiah Spiller. It was probably like a last pick.
Okay, and then you would get Juwan Jennings on top of that?
And Juwan Jennings on top of that, yeah.
Okay, and what does your receiver bench look like? Because I'm assuming he's not in your starters.
No, I have Jalen Reed, Curtis Samuel, Noah Brown, Antonio Brown. What's that?
Antonio Brown, the retired Antonio Brown?
AJ Brown.
Okay.
I got I'm sorry, I gotta let Graham.
So you got AJ Brown on your bench?
Yeah, because he's out. Yeah, and then I got Diami Brown, Khalil Shakir, Trey Palmer, Marvin Mims. I don't need these players.
First thoughts, what are you thinking? You thinking a hard no?
I don't need those players.
All right, y'all.
I could use a running back, so I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I hear that. All right, y'all. Listen, leave a comment in the messages, right, or in the comments section. Let us know what you think about that. Jordan Love for 4 players, 2 running backs, a receiver, and Derek Carr. We're talking Jordan Mason too. So y'all get in the comments section, get in our DMs, let us know. We want to hear from you. I want to do a segment where we talk to the diners. We need some diners to reach out. So if y'all could do that, that'd be dope. Listen, we got some bad weather. We're in the southeast. We got some bad weather rolling in. I hope everybody stays safe. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Make sure you get prepared, please. Don't wait till the last minute. That's what everybody does. It's just like dynasty football. Everybody waits to the last minute. Get ahead, get prepared, and we thank you so much for joining the diner. This is the best episode yet, and we're just going to keep getting better, y'all. Listen, follow us on Instagram at DFD_podcast. Please listen, like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. It's on Spotify and YouTube at DFD Podcast. We love you guys. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you all next week. Peace.
Thanks so much. Bye.